we get involved in those conversations all the time. You plug the gap, you address the initial trauma. How are you evaluating going forward? Are you just going to hope it doesn't happen again?
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Incident Report presented by Quest Technology Management. I'm Paul Burke, Director of Technology Communications. Every week, I'm joined by VP of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. The Incident Report brings you conversations with thought leaders, business innovators, and channel mavericks to help you stay productive and agile in a changing technology landscape. Today we welcome Mike Dillon, Chief Technology Officer for Quest. Mike brings over 27 years of disaster recovery, security, and engineering experience to his role. Dillon leads technology strategy development and planning and serves as Chief Consultant and Director for Quest Professional, Managed, and Cloud Services. As CTO, Dillon oversees a team of consultants, engineers, experts, and project managers. Dillon created and developed the Quest application and development service providers platforms that are ongoing today. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Incident Report. I'm one of your hosts, Paul Burke. Over there across from me is my co-host, Adam. How are you doing?
Good, Paul. Glad to be here. Coming in hot today. Excited to be here.
This is episode 5. I'm very excited because today we have Mike Dillon, CTO of Quest Technology Management, back with us. Mike, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Good, Paul. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Last time we all were sitting together, Log4j was the issue that everybody was dealing with. We wanted to talk and get your insights on what's happening right now with that security risk.
So definitely over the past couple of months, people have been trying to identify if they have it. Still trying to determine maybe like the full impact. There have been some compromises that have come out directly from Log4j. So that's probably been different over the past 30 to 45 days. So people now are realizing, okay, this wasn't just a fluke and a scare and FUD. This is now one of those vectors that the threat actors can actually get into, and they're actually seeing it happening. So I think people are going through that. People are still trying to figure out how to maybe continue to see if they have an issue or if they've been compromised. As we talked about before, the Log4j, it wasn't necessarily just closing down the issue and remediating the threat. It was also, did they already get in there? So were there already bad guys before you've actually shut the door? Were they already into your system? So I think people are still thinking about that. They're trying to figure out and wondering in the back of their mind, is that real or is that not?
There's a lot of things going on in the world. A lot of things people wish weren't happening. And sometimes you can fall into the trap of, shoot, I wish this wasn't the way it is. And I'm going to continue to fight the battle I had yesterday. So that's not the situation you have anymore. The invasion's been launched. The Rubicon's been crossed. Now, what are you going to do with the current state you're in? A lot of people in the security world I think a lot of people may want to put their heads in the sand. We see clients do that sometimes. That's a strategy. It's not necessarily the preferred one. And how are you going to evaluate what your current state is? And I know, Mike, we get involved in those conversations all the time. You plug the gap, you address the initial trauma. How are you evaluating going forward? Are you just going to hope it doesn't happen again? That's a strategy. People do that. So I don't know, Mike, if your thoughts on the culture of security there.
So that's just the way security's been for a long time. We'll see an event like a Log4j issue or maybe some sort of other security breach that's impacting. Everyone sees it, everyone jumps on it, but then it fades away. And that's sort of been security for the longest time. And I would agree. I'm not sure people can do anything. Financially, it could be really expensive to be threat hunting everything in the world. That's a pretty expensive path. So people are trying to figure out, what can I do? How much would it cost? Do I have to do anything? Like you said, do I have to worry about it? I'm going to worry about what's ever in front of me today. And I'm not being compromised by some sort of a Log4j vector. So it's not a problem right this second. So I'm not going to worry about it yet.
Mike, you mentioned cost there, and we get into these, we talk to vendors all the time, right? We're an MSP, we're a VAR, we're involved in helping people make IT decisions. So we hear the stories, we participate in the slide presentations, and we go through the pitches, if you will. But there are some practical things that clients can do just from a kind of a hygiene standpoint, as far as threat hunting and red team, blue team, and all those fancy charts and stuff are great. But that comes with some significant investment. Not everyone is a PepsiCo or Dow Chemical or large multinational firms. People are trying to run their businesses. What are your thoughts on people just maintaining good good practices and good procedures around all the different threats we're seeing out there right now.
We're always in favor of people following your best practices, your NIST practices, and those type of requirements. I think a little bit, I don't know if Log4j was enough to push people into changing habits. It was right now, it was like, look and see what if I have it. Do I have it? Yes or no? And that's what people, the majority of people did. They've scanned their network, they've looked and see if they've got it, and they do or they don't. I don't think it was enough to change because a lot of people get compromised every single day. It's not, this is the only way that the threat actors have attacked people. So the thought of a threat actor coming in, it's not just because of Log4j, it's been going on for years. So I don't think Log4j was enough to have people change some of their security practices or maybe their philosophies or their budget or the requirements for it. I think it's enough for people to look around for about a month or two to see if they have it. I don't get a sense that now what we should be doing, which is what the CISA has told people to look, go in and do some threat hunting and see if they are there, see if the threat actors have landed, see if they're actually within your environment and you just can't see it. Turn on outbound monitoring to see, if you could see any sort of traffic leaving your environment that would be a threat actor traffic. I don't think a lot of people are really doing that. I don't think they're continuously doing that. We came across a lot of customers that just could not monitor anything that's leaving their network to go to any threat actor's bad site. And a lot of times the Log4j didn't push it enough to say that they wanted to go and get budget to do that. So again, I think Log4j was an event. I think people looked at it. I think people are wondering what it's going to cost to do anything else. Do they have to do anything else? Some of these things are real easy. It doesn't cost a lot to turn on some outbound traffic monitoring. You may have to have the right platform, but we're not talking millions of dollars. We're talking just getting some right equipment in there, maybe some right services, and look at traffic that's leaving. So it could be really easy, like something like that. It doesn't have to be a full $100,000 project. I don't have to go out and hire 5 or 6 people to make all this stuff happen. I think it can be real easy. Some of the steps to go and monitor, looking for that threat actor, looking for that traffic is real basic. There may have to be a few changes within your environment, maybe on the edge going to the internet, but that's really not a big deal. It's really not a big cost to do that. A lot of the newer firewalls have that capability anyway, so maybe you just have to upgrade your firewall to do that. But just doing those basic things, I don't think Log4j was enough to push that. Is it recommended? Heck yeah, it's recommended. It's recommended to see if they were in your environment. It's always recommended to have the capability to see what's coming into your network and what's leaving your network. Do we help people with that? Yes, we've launched a couple of things because of that. We actually have a program where we go out and look through your firewall configuration scan and see what information is leaving and also see what the capabilities are of your platform. Real basic thing. This is almost like maybe we should put a gas gauge into our car to make sure I can tell if I'm about ready to run out of gas. That's a good idea. I mean, it's real basic to do that stuff. But Log4j, I don't know if it pushed it to actually get the car and the companies and the consumers to pay for that gas gauge.
Do you think the habits weren't changed because people went in, they looked around, they didn't see it immediately affecting them? So they're like, great, I dodged a bullet. Our organization dodged a bullet. We can keep doing what we're doing because clearly our habits didn't hurt us this time. So have you found people who were affected with Log4j or other issues that their habits change, or do they just revert back to the mean, what they've always been doing? I feel in a lot of ways, we're almost doctors telling people just eat a salad every once in a while and go for a walk. And people are like, I'll just go work out really hard at the gym for 2 weeks and then abandon all plans.
I've seen that a lot. So we see that just from somebody that has been compromised. It's very classic that after 3 to 6 months after they've been compromised, I'm talking like ransomware compromise, that they're back to their old games. They're back to not doing anything, putting security fifth on the list. Their monitoring, their practices have all been dwindled. We're in there with our managed services trying to keep things running. If they continued with our managed services, some people haven't. Some people have gone back to just the DIY mode. And that's after a real ransomware. Systems have been compromised. And I think here with Log4j, there wasn't enough pain for that compromise to change that habit. I think people did shake the tank and go, okay, we need more gas, or change it over here. But I don't know if it was serious enough for them to change any other sort of reporting or change any other sort of visibility into what's going on, or add it in some cases.
And do you think sometimes that they believe, well, if we just apply the patches, that's enough. If we just do something external, we don't really have to worry about the habits of our internal organization and systems and plans, but it's just the external patch and then we're.
Yeah, definitely that was the practice that we went through with a lot of customers, applying the patches. And the vendors, it wasn't an easy task either. The vendors all had to do a lot of work too. So we went through 2 months or so there of working with vendors and looking at the vendors' updates and see if they've updated. It was a little bit of a rat race there to get all the vendors to get the Log4j vulnerabilities corrected. So it wasn't that easy. It wasn't just on December 10th, we had one patch and it was done with. Every vendor had to work really hard to get through here. And does it come up as questions now? I'm probably seeing some of that again. Hey, when you bring in your software, where are you with your vulnerabilities? How do you check your vulnerabilities? How do you look for Log4j? Some of those questions may have popped up in the past couple of months too, a little bit more often than they did prior to December 10th. So those have been some characteristic changes that people may ask. So that's good. That's good that people are asking more about software that's being loaded onto the network and how's that software being operated and those type of questions. Again, I think the questions are being asked, they're thinking about patching, but as far as once they load it ongoing, I'm not seeing a lot of people look at how they could really tell if that software's been compromised. So again, with us, we like to go in looking at that, you putting in monitoring services and capabilities within your security stack to actually see that visibility. And maybe that would be enough for people to create some new habits coming out of Log4j, which is really going to be, hey, let me apply some of these capabilities of these new firewalls. A lot of the new firewalls, a lot of the new endpoint protection, a lot of those type of services have the capability to read, monitor, and report on that data. You just have to turn it on. You have to configure it properly. So we have been working with customers on some of those activities. And those have been mostly customers that are underneath our managed services. So if customers don't have that capability, it would be great to get a hold of us to talk about how we could help you with configuring your existing platform and looking at the capabilities there. And then if we need to add services to do that, we could definitely talk to them about adding the services. But a lot of times this could be already inherited to their existing platform. They just need some help. How do I turn it on? How do I watch it? Yeah, this was turned on 6 months ago, but I turned it off because I got so many alerts. I got so many logs. No one really wanted to have focus on it, but it looks like now we need to turn it on. So those are great avenues for customers to contact us, and we could work through those situations too.
So, Mike, I'm a huge fan of lists, 100 best movies. I love a good list. If you were listing the top 3 habits that organizations should employ today to help with this sort of thing, what are 3 habits you're like, these are the things you should do? You mentioned patching. Do you think patching's up there as one of the new habits?
Yeah, but there's so many different systems as you looked at Log4j too, that you have to have visibility to patch everything inconsistent. These patches are not that easy. Some of them are actually configuration changes along with hard-like resets. So when you talk about patching for these vulnerabilities, it's just not your home computer and you have it auto set. And when you turn off, or when you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night and wake up at 6 a.m., it's all patched, everything's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of complexity, not only with that, but a lot of people do have to have systems running 24 hours a day. People are really concerned about patches that could impact applications, and the next day things aren't working. People really don't have solid rollback plans. So you add all that stuff up into the complexity of patching, it can lock people up, and it does. Politically, bureaucracy-wise, approval-wise, execution-wise within companies, it locks them up. So number one, patching. It's not just the tools, it's really getting through the execution with your whole organization or with your partner like us to walk through that. So that's number one. You gotta believe in patching. That organizations and the executives have to be committed to keep things patched. And that's at the executive level, because you do need that level for patching here. This is not an IT problem. Second thing would be visibility. Got to get visibility. We have to get visibility to what's coming into your network and what's going out. It's real easy, like I said earlier, about some of these existing platforms may have that visibility, People just have to configure it without bringing things down, because some people are always nervous. If I turn on this monitoring, it's going to monitor, plus it's going to block things. If it blocks things, it's going to block maybe good traffic, and I don't want to bring people down. Got it. We understand that. Work through that process. We have really great processes, people within our group that have gone through plenty of these to work through the process to turn on monitoring effectively. And then once you turn monitoring on, then you could talk about blocking. So that would be the third thing. I got visibility. Now I'm going to do something about it with our tools. So these tools are really smart, and you've probably paid a lot of money for them. We have to turn them on to make them effective. So a lot of people get stuck there. I've turned on monitoring. I've got a lot of events. I don't know what they all mean. I haven't tuned it, haven't had time, all those other things that really are real to people. And then you want me to block stuff. We have to work through the baselining. We have to work through the monitoring, and then we have to turn it into blocking mode. As we looked into the events that happened over the past month with geopolitical and the stuff over Russia, that was a great capability too, as we looked at working with customers to have that. So with Log4j or any other type of threat that's coming down, have an ability to monitor and actively block, and have it block when it sees it, not just tell you about it, but prevent that from coming in. Get that thing down. Work with your teams, or work with your service providers, or us, and if you're working with us, and let's get that part resolved too. So patching, monitoring, and active blocking. Those would be three great things on the list. And we've seen people improve on that, definitely over the past 30 days. And Log4j was some of that. But people really have stepped up to go, yeah, I really do need to have this visibility. I really do need to want to look at the capabilities that I could do to stop some of this traffic from coming or going.
That's perfect. I think that's a fantastic order of operations. Appreciate it.
Yeah. People have gotten into blocking at first. And what's happened when they first maybe brought up the systems, maybe it was a year ago or so, they just went right to blocking. And it all of a sudden caused some business operations to fail or to stop. And it really wasn't aligned properly when somebody had installed it or had turned it on. And it is that process to go through those three things. That just doesn't happen overnight. That's probably a 30 to 90 day thought to go through those three things too. Could be longer in some organizations, but in a lot of organizations, that's about a 30 to 90 day runway to get those three things nailed down too. So please put that into consideration when you go and have your IT execute on your security tools and dispatching and monitoring and blocking things. Be prepared and have this stuff ready to work. Have it working, preferably, and then maybe it could prevent some of your threats. But if all of a sudden you just tell people to turn things off because of some threat, you could have a hard time doing it without causing business interruption.
I think that's such a great point. I thought this was much quicker. I never thought it was 30 to 90 days. Many people probably don't change their habits because if it doesn't work after 10 days, this must not work. I'll just go back to doing what I do. So putting it out there 30 to 90 days, that I think is probably a revelation for a lot of people.
Yeah. Can I slam in a patch? Can I automatically stop everything coming into the internet? You betcha. That takes about 3 or 4 seconds. The impact of that could last a long time. You're going to have other ripple effects. You're going to have other outages. You're going to have other people confused why you did it. Be prepared here and give yourself some time, because you want to do some baselining. You don't want to just shut everything down and stop business practices. And you don't want to be loading patches without understanding what are some side effects by loading these patches. Give yourself, like I said, 30 to 90 days to work through these three things.
Mike, I know you're a busy man. You got to get the day started. So I just want to thank you again for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. Thanks a lot, Adam. You guys have a good day.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks so much for listening. The Incident Report is brought to you by Quest Technology Management. With over 40 years of experience, Quest is a leading technology integrator working seamlessly with your staff and systems to achieve your IT goals. Learn more about everything they do at questsys.com. And if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always email Adam and myself at theincidentreport@questsys.com. Links are in the description. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.